How do you wake up in the morning? What's the first thing you say to yourself? Does the alarm clock go off in the morning and you go, it's a new day that I get to express my love? Or does the alarm clock go off and you go, oh my God, I'm already behind, and you're going and racing off? What do you say to yourself first thing in the morning? You woke up alive. That's a good one. That you're grateful. So, one of the things that I always love to include in every talk I do is the concept of spiritual practice. A spiritual practice is that song that we just did, gratitude. But any way that you do it, a spiritual practice can be 30 seconds, it could be 3 minutes, it could be sitting on one of those uncomfortable round things for hours, whatever you want to do. I have people who say, if I just listen to your song, I am so blessed. When I drive into work and I sit in the garage and I listen, I'm so blessed. The day starts well, and I can go greet my coworkers, and I'm fine. 3-minute song. But here's what I think. I think that it's so important to start your day with love, to start your day with that in that place of aligning with whatever your center is, whatever you call God or spirit or universe or love or whatever, and I call it realigning to my GPS, my God positioning system. And if you notice, you are the face of, this is God. This is what God is. And so this is what disease is when you're just off. And so it's this idea of aligning to this place, doing whatever you can do every day to align to this place of center. So I know how important it is, what is the first thing I say to myself in the morning, by how music can affect that so much. And I was in a hotel recently, and the alarm clock radio went off with a radio, and the very first thing I heard to start my day was Linda Ronstadt singing to me, "You're no good, you're no good, you're no good, baby, you're no good." And then she goes, "I'm gonna say it again, you're no good, you're no good, you're no good." And guess what? All day long, I'm walking around, I'm doing my things in the world, and all I keep hearing is, "You're no good, you're no good, you're no good." So, I'll tell you, all of the songs that I write on all my albums, you all get to see what my issues are, because this is what I write about. But what I specifically do with all of my albums, especially my chanting albums, Songs of Spirit 1, 2, 3, 4, is make sure that the very first song is one of starting your day with love. So I have thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. You like that one? And then the next one was, I start my day with love, and when I start my day with love, that's what I get more of is love. And the last one is, I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. These are all affirmations. These are all things that I'm affirming in my life and in my day, so that I can just come out in the world and be a loving person. Does it always work that way? Not so much. But I'm trying. I'm working. I'm going back to that place of center and seeing what is it that I need to do to align with that energy. And the reason why I wanted to do a talk about worthiness is because it's the foundation of everything we do. It's the foundation of everything we do. If we have a belief way down here, I call it the low hum, like Linda Ronstadt saying, "You're no good, you're no good, you're no good." If you have that belief, anything that you try and do, any love that you're giving out, is always a little tainted, because you're coming from that place of, I'm not worthy. And you know what? I'm here to just simply remind you, you are. You are. We all are. Just as we are. There's no more classes to take. There's no more, there's no more books to read. Those are all toppings on the cake. The cake is made. You're the cake. There's a book. There's a book. You're the cake. But truly, everything else, the reason why we come to a church like this, the reason why we read books, the reason why we listen to music, it just simply brings us back to center and reminds us when we go off. One of my most popular songs is a little song called, "I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself, and I will hold myself like a newborn baby child." And I wrote that song when I had done something really dumb. And I was just going, "Oh, Drucker, you idiot." And I'm just beating myself up. And a friend of mine, I was saying this little story to a friend of mine, and she said, "Would you ever think of saying what you're saying to a child? Would you think of like a baby is trying to get up and walk for the first time? Get up! Just come on! It's not that hard. Do it!" Would you do that? And I got this idea of rocking myself in that place of when I was just beating myself up, of just thinking about myself like a little child and saying, and I will rock myself like a newborn baby child. And I realized that that's probably one of our biggest things that we do, is we beat ourselves up. We're not even aware of it a lot of the times. But we do this. If this is center, we start to go off like this, and then we keep on going. But if we can be gentle and bring ourselves back to center, come to a place like this where we remind you of your divinity. We remind you of your beauty. We remind you of your greatness. That's all it is. It's like when you're on a diet and someone goes, oh, you have to have my chocolate cake. I just baked it for you. And you're like, okay. And you go off, and then the next day you go, well, I just had a chocolate cake. See, I can't do this diet. And you go more and more and more. The key is gently bring yourself back. You know, the bridge to that song says, I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. There's all this permission in there that you can beat yourself up. We're going to do it. We're human. But it's how you bring yourself back. How you bring yourself back to that place of, I'm worthy. Sure, life is going to tell you that you're no good, or someone's going to trigger you in some way. But it's how you bring yourself back and you say, you know what? I'm worthy. That's why I wrote that song. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh. You know, there was a movie a while ago called I think it was called Network, where the guy was yelling out the window, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. That's what this talk is about. That's what that song was about. It's just saying to any of those outside influences that tell me that I'm not worthy, you know, I'm 56 years old. I got wrinkles, I got cellulite. I'm here, I'm worthy, I'm fabulous. So, you know, and actually, I used to teach a performance workshop years ago, and it was such an interesting thing because I told my students, go home and learn a song. And then they had to come back the next week and perform their song. So the first person gets up there, and I say, great, put your guitar down. And he goes, well, what do you mean? I've been practicing the song all week. I said, yeah, great, put your guitar down. I want you to stand in front of us, and you're going to look at us for 30 seconds. And then after that, we're going to give you a standing ovation like you've never had. He was like, well, why would you do that? I mean, I didn't do anything. I went, that's the problem. If you think that you just standing there, being who you are in front of us, is not worthy of a standing ovation, we've got some work to do. Agree? Because your song is only the cherries and the whipped cream on top of the cake. But you are the cake, and all that you've been through. I mean, if we all turned around and did an exercise where you told me your life story and all that you've gone through and all the heartbreak and the triumphs and the successes and the disappointments, we'd all bow at each other's feet. Isn't that there's some Rumi saying that says that. You know, if you knew the beauty within you, we would just bow at your feet. And I'm saying that right now. Stand in your power. Stand in your worthiness for all that you've done. Good and bad. It's all there, and we would give you a standing ovation. And what was great about that little exercise is that after, you know, people would just sort of melt, you know, and then they'd start to do shtick, like when they got their applause, they'd like, thank you, thank you. It's like, no. I want you to really receive it. And when we stand and give you that ovation, I want you to look around, and guaranteed every person turned into a puddle on the stage. Because for them to really get their worthiness, to get that they were perfect as they were, that's when I could start teaching the class. So I learned very early on that worthiness and my power and what I thought of myself is a choice. It's a choice every day that we make. And granted, there's some... See, God is in the house saying, yes, Karen, you are on the right path. Because we're here, we are here. I've always wanted to be part of a banner. Actually, you know, that was one of my big claims to fame, you know, when I was in, here's another story for you. So when I was in high school, I'm about to go back to high school for you, I actually wanted to be one of those people that walked around and I couldn't play any instrument back then. And so I auditioned for the drum corps at Hollywood High School. And the teacher said, well, girls can't play drums. And it was like, oh, yeah? And so all summer long, I went up and down. I lived in Hollywood. I'm up and down my street holding this big snare drum, Learning how, and the thing was with Hollywood High, we would be at the Christmas Lane Parade. We'd be the first high school out that you have to walk 2 miles. And he was like, you can't walk 2 miles with that drum. It's like, oh yeah? So I remember I practiced and I went in and I nailed that audition. I mean, I could read my paradiddles and he could not refuse me. So I was the first woman girl in the Hollywood High School corps. But so I'm going to take you back to high school. So I grew up in Hollywood. Yes, people were actually born there. And I was actually what you'd call a drip, a nerd, just like pathetic. I used to straighten my hair. Did anyone ever have a relationship with the product Dippity-Doo? We're going to have a healing here this morning. And so I would slather you all over my hair every night. I would take this side up like this with a million bobby pins, this side up with a million bobby pins, and then a big orange juice can on top. What that was about, that's more years of therapy. And I would try to have straight hair because it was all about having straight hair and having your name be Buffy or Muffy and, like, you know, whipping your... And I just did not fit in. And what was really pathetic is if it was ever foggy in Los Angeles, my hair would rise like yeast. It was just... But here, I'm just so afraid you can't get the visual, so I brought a visual aid. So this is me in 8th grade, and it was a foggy day, and I swear, every single... I mean, I must have had like 10 rubber bands back there. So, and do you love it with the whole braces, like... But here's the thing. Bless this little girl. She was trying so hard. But here's the thing. I had a mentor back then, and I thought that if I could be like her, my life would be good. And that person was Carol Burnett. Do you all remember Carol Burnett? And so every single Friday, I would take the bus down to CBS Television Center, and I would stand in line for 2 hours. I would wear the same little polka dot dress every week. And I would make a beeline to your seat right there. And I would just be thrilled. You know, I'd just be thrilled to watch her. I'd be like this every week. And I just thought, you know, she was so great. She just gave me such power to just go through my drippy, nerdy years that I just loved her. And I'd memorized all her monologues and everything. And so one day she was doing the question and answer period. Do you remember how she did that at the beginning of her show? And I'm just watching this, and I'm just going along with everybody. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, my little heart just starts throbbing in my chest. And I look down and my palms are getting all sweaty and I'm like, what is going on here? And out of the blue, my hand goes up and I'm like, ah! And I try and get it down. And she calls on me and she goes, yes, what would you like to ask? And I'm like a deer in the headlights. But then I had remembered that the week before, I had just won the Edgar Rice Burroughs Tarzan calling contest. So I said, well, I'd like to challenge you to a Tarzan calling contest. And she said, great, come on up. So now I get up on stage. I'm feeling like, oh my, and everybody, this is the first time I've ever been on stage. 300 people are looking at me like this. They're just giving me so much love. She's just lovely. She's just, what's your name? And, you know, she's just being so sweet. And all of a sudden, I look out, and right there in that row are all the cool girls from my school. And they're doing that typical Valley Girl kind of thing, where they're going, oh my God, is that Karen Drucker? We don't know her, she's so geeky. And they're all like they're rolling their eyes, they're just being mortified that I'm up there. And all I can do in that moment is go, like all I can do is think about, how do I get myself out of this situation? I felt shamed, empowered, disempowered. I mean, every part of me gave them the power, so that I'm just like this little shell up here going, oh my God, how do I get out? And that's when I realized at this very early age, probably one of my very first spiritual lessons, that every moment we have a choice of who we're going to give our power to. To the media telling me I'm supposed to look a certain way, to other people, to coworkers, to your boss, to your spouse, to whatever, to these girls that are sitting there thinking that I'm a geek. And I remember at that time being a conscious choice where I remember seeing this line right here that I could step over it, claim my power, or stay back here and give them the power. So I remember looking at them, looking at Carol Burnett, seeing this line and going, thank you very much. But that's what worthiness is. It's being able to know in your life where you give your power away. Where are the energy leaks in your life? Where do you leak that energy? So that's something, if you stay for the workshop that we're going to do this afternoon, that's what we're going to be talking about. Where do you give your power away? And an energy leak to me is another another way of saying giving your power away. It can even be spending too much time at the computer, emails, being around negative people. What are you saying yes to? What are you saying no to? All those kinds of things. What are the things that light you up and let you twinkle? Twinkle. You know what's hysterical? Look what I found in the dollar store yesterday. Wait a minute. It says twinkle. It says twinkle. So tell me something. Do you know what it's like when you see a twinkler? That you look in their eyes and they're really there? And these could be people doing the most boring job, but they know what their mission is. And their mission could be simply something like, I'm here to be kind. I'm here to give love. So Golden Gate Bridge, I go across the Golden Gate Bridge, and now I'm so upset because they don't have this anymore. We used to have toll takers, and they got rid of them all. But my favorite toll taker was Ernie. And here's a job. What are you going to do with this job? All day long, like this. You're giving receipts out like this. When I got Ernie, it was going to be a good day because Ernie knew his worth. Ernie knew what he was there for. Ernie was doing a ministry because what he would do, he'd give you the receipt and he'd go, this is our number. You never call, you never write. Come back sometime. Or he had a rubber fish and he'd go swimmingly through your day. And I'm just thinking about, there was a woman that I met recently that I was so impressed with her. She was like 80 years old, and when she told me this story of how she starts her day, her eyes were just twinkling. She was telling me that one of her spiritual practices is she calls, if you can believe this, 30 people every morning. They all expect that, she expects that they're going to just get the phone machine, but she will sing. And many times she will sing a Karen Drucker song into their phone machine to start their day. That's her spiritual practice. So she'll call, hi, Betsy, I start my day with love, I start my day. And she'll just sing these little songs. She's twinkling. She's twinkling. She's giving her gift. And then there was this woman that I was recently at a Starbucks, which is my personal church. And here was an example of someone not knowing their worth, not feeling good. She was in this grumpy mood. And, one of the things I like to do when I'm on the road, which is pretty much every weekend, is I have this little game that I play. I have $21 bills, and I have to get rid of them. And so I tithe, I give them as tips, whatever. I just try and get rid of them. So here she is, we're at Starbucks, and she's fumbling with her money, she says, I want a cup of coffee, and she's fumbling with her money, and I go, I'll pay, and I give the money to the lady behind the counter, and this woman, she goes, what are you doing? And I go, I'm paying for your coffee. And she goes, well, why would you do that? Give it to someone who really needs it. I don't need it. And I wanted to say, there's a religious science church right down the street. You might want to check, but I didn't. And I said to her, well, this is something I love to do. I love to tithe, in any way I can, time, talent, whatever. I just like to do this. And we kind of go back and forth for a few times. And it's like, and finally I just go, lady, it's a cup of coffee. Just take it. And she goes, fine, whatever. And so now we move down, here. We're standing there for a minute. And really softly, her face just changes. And she turns to me and she says, no one ever does this for me. No one ever does this for me. And I said, well, thank you. Thank you for letting me have that gift of doing that. This is what I love to do. It makes me feel better. Thank you. And we stand there for another minute. She goes, so is this one of those pay it forward kind of things? I go, whatever. But when we know our worth, and we share that love, we become little twinklers. We become twinklers. And it doesn't matter how you do it. It could be just simply smiling at someone. It could be saying to someone, how's your day going when you're waiting in line? It doesn't even matter. But the point is to do it now. to do it now. Allow yourself to be a twinkler. I want to just share one more story with you. You know, I have a friend, her name is Willow, and she was part of a woman's trio. And this woman was a twinkler. And she said to me, I have this dream of making my own CD. Would you help me with it? You have so many CDs out. You know, I want to do something other than the trio and do my own music. And I went, I am there for you whenever you want to do it. So time would go by, didn't hear from her. I'd see her again at another function. Oh, Karen, I really want to talk to you about this thing. I really want to talk to you about this. Yeah, I'm really ready to do it. Great, I'm here. Give me a call. I'll help you out. Call doesn't come. She gets diagnosed with cancer. Now she goes, I really need to do this. But she keeps waiting for that place in her that's perfect. She keeps waiting for it to be that the perfect time and the perfect songs and and this is what we're going to talk about this afternoon, that this is one of the ways that we dim down our worthiness, is that idea that we have to be perfect. One of my favorite expressions is, I know you are there and I hear what you say, but that is not my truth today. I say that to my inner critic, which we will talk about in length this afternoon. But she just kept waiting for her worthiness to be that she would one day wake up and everything would be perfect. Well, guess what? It doesn't work that way. So now she has cancer, and she's starting to get it together to get this album done. She keeps going down and down and down. Now she's in the hospital. The doctors give her 2 weeks to live. She calls all her friends. I got to do it now. They rally around. People work 14, 16 hours a day to get this done. They record an album in 2 weeks. Not done. It usually takes at least 6 months. 2 weeks. And as she's recording, she has almost like a remission. The music is truly healing her. She is strong, she's powerful, she's eating again, she's feeling great, and people are going, oh my God, music really does heal. Look at how she's doing. She does it, she's done with the album, they ship it off, and as soon as they ship it off, she starts to decline. And now she's going between the worlds. And they're just hoping that this album comes. They put it on expedited shipping and everything. The UPS comes 4 o'clock. They all rush out to get the album. They come back, Willow, here it is, here it is. And she's kind of in and out and in and out. But the next morning, she wakes up completely lucid, completely clear. Looks and goes, oh my God, it's here. And she starts looking for all the mistakes in the liner notes. But she's looking through it and is happy and it's there. And she kisses the CD and says, go out in the world and do your work. And the next morning, she was gone. So my message in even saying this is, oh, not poor Willow, that she didn't live to see the success of it. She did do it. But don't wait. Don't wait to spread your love. Don't wait to do your gift. Don't wait for the perfect person to come into your life or to lose the 10 pounds and then your body will be perfect or any of those things. Allow yourself to feel right now that you are the gift, that who you are is enough, that we can all give you a standing ovation. Because being that gift allows other people to be the gift. So if you would start that track for me, darling. Let me end with a little song, a little remembering song.